My phone buzzed on the counter. It was my sister, Megan. I smiled, expecting a question about flower arrangements for her wedding. Instead, the text read, "Hey, so things are tight with the venue. There's no place for you at the wedding anymore. Sorry." Just like that, I was uninvited. But what she didn't know was that my place was holding the entire thing together. My name is Clara Bennett, and I'm 28. For as long as I can remember, I've been the responsible one in my family. While my older sister Megan was the star, the pretty popular one who got everything she wanted, I was the quiet planner in the background. I built my own event planning business from the ground up, coordinating massive corporate events and fairy tale weddings for other people. I wasn't glamorous or the center of attention, but I was good at my job. I knew how to make things happen. I loved the scent of fresh-cut flowers filling a ballroom, the sound of a string quartet warming up, the look on a client's face when they saw their dream come to life. When Megan got engaged, I was thrilled for her. I immediately offered my services for free. It was my gift to her, my way of ensuring her big day was perfect. For 6 months, I poured my heart into it. I spent hundreds of hours negotiating with vendors, designing the table layouts until they were perfect, and handling every tiny logistical nightmare that popped up. I did it because I loved my sister. I just didn't realize that love was a one-way street. If you've ever been pushed aside by the people who are supposed to love you the most, subscribe right now. Tell me in the comments where you're watching from, because I want to hear your stories. I stared at the phone, the screen glowing with those horribly casual words. No place for you. It felt like a punch to the gut. No phone call, no real explanation, just a text message, as if she were canceling a coffee date, not erasing me from the most important day of her life. My hands were trembling, so I put the phone down and immediately called my mom. I expected her to be furious on my behalf. "Mom, did you see Megan's text?" I asked, my voice shaky. There was a long pause on the other end, followed by a heavy sigh. "Honey, I did," she said, her voice tired. "You know Megan's fiancé Alex has a huge family. They had to make some tough cuts. Please don't take it personally." Not take it personally? I could hear my voice rising. "Mom, I've worked on this wedding for half a year, for free. I poured my soul into this." "That was a gift, Clara," she said, her tone shifting from tired to sharp. "You can't hold a gift over her head. Don't make this difficult for your sister. It's her day." I hung up, feeling colder than before. There was no support there, just a command to stay quiet and not cause trouble. So I called the one person who should explain it to me. I called Megan. It took 3 tries before she picked up. "What's up?" she answered, sounding annoyed. "What's up? Megan, what is that text? You're uninviting me from your wedding over a text message?" I heard her scoff on the other end. "Look, Alex's cousin from Ohio is flying in with her kids. Her feelings would be hurt if she didn't get a seat. You live 10 minutes away, you get it. It's just a numbers game." "But I planned the whole thing, Megan," I said, my voice cracking. "I chose the caterer. I found that venue for you. I got you a discount on the flowers. And we're grateful," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Honestly, we are. But the guest list is the bride's decision, and I can't just uninvite Alex's family. It wouldn't look right." I was speechless. The complete lack of care was stunning. As I was about to just hang up, she added one more thing, so casually it took my breath away. "Oh, by the way," she said, "I still need you to finalize the payment with the florist next week. The deposit you put down didn't cover the full invoice. Can you handle that?" The audacity was staggering. She didn't just want me gone from her wedding. She still expected me to work for it and pay for it from the outside. That was the moment something inside me snapped. A week passed in a blur of hurt and anger. I tried to just forget about it, to move on. But then my father called. His voice was cheerful at first, asking how I was. I knew it was a trap. "So the family is pooling its money together for a big wedding gift for Megan and Alex," he began. "We're helping them with a down payment on a house. It's a big surprise." "That's nice," I said, waiting for the other shoe to drop. "Your share is $2,000, he said, as if it were nothing. "You can just transfer it to my account." I gripped the phone tighter. "Dad, I'm not even invited to the wedding." His cheerful tone vanished. "This isn't about the wedding, Clara. This is about family. Are you really going to be this selfish over one little seating issue? Don't punish your sister. She's been through enough stress." Punish my sister? I was the one who had been kicked to the curb. I was the one they were trying to squeeze for every last drop of money and labor. I realized then that they didn't see me as a daughter or a sister. They saw me as a resource, an ATM, unpaid help. I told him I wouldn't be contributing, and he hung up on me. The silence that followed felt heavy, final. Things only got worse. A few days later, I was mindlessly scrolling through Instagram before bed, and then I saw it. My cousin had posted a series of photos from Megan's bridal shower. It was a lavish brunch at that little garden cafe I had scouted for her, the one I told her would be perfect. All the bridesmaids were there, laughing, holding champagne flutes. They were all wearing the dresses I helped them pick out. My cousin had posted a group photo, a sea of smiling faces, with Megan in the center, glowing. The caption read, "Celebrating the beautiful bride-to-be, the A-Team." There it was, in bright, cheerful color, public confirmation of my erasure. I was never part of the A-Team. I was just the roadie who set up the stage, and was then told to leave before the show started. I closed the app, the happy images burned into my mind. The feeling wasn't just sadness anymore. It was a cold, hard anger that was starting to feel like fuel. I had let them walk all over me my entire life, but this was different. The final insult came 10 days before the wedding. My phone rang, and it was Megan. I almost didn't answer, but I did. Her voice was a hurricane of panic. "Clara, thank God you picked up. It's a disaster," she cried. "The band just canceled. Their lead singer has COVID or something. The wedding is in 10 days. You have to fix this." She didn't ask. She demanded. She expected me to jump back into the role of the fixer, the planner, the one who cleans up all the messes. I took a deep breath, and for the first time, I didn't give her what she wanted. "I'm not your planner anymore, Megan," I said, my voice perfectly calm. There was a stunned silence. Then, her panic turned to pure venom. "I can't believe you," she screeched into the phone. "After everything I have done for you, you are so unbelievably petty. You're probably enjoying this, aren't you? You probably love that this is happening." I didn't say a word. I just hung up the phone. The click echoed in the quiet room, and in that moment, my decision was made. I wasn't going to sit at home and feel sorry for myself. I wasn't going to let them have the satisfaction. I walked over to my laptop, the screen illuminating my face. I opened a travel website. With a few clicks, I booked a non-refundable, week-long trip to Hawaii. My flight was scheduled to leave on the morning of her wedding. What Megan and my parents never understood about my business is that I don't just plan parties. I manage risk. I protect my clients, and I protect myself. Every vendor contract I sign is a fortress of clauses and conditions. They are professional, legally binding documents, not casual agreements. I'd learned early on that you have to protect your work. And here was the crucial detail they had all overlooked in their rush to use me. Every single contract for that wedding, the historic venue with its beautiful gardens, the five-star caterer famous for their farm-to-table menu, the sought-after florist who worked magic with peonies, the company providing the specialty silk linens was signed not by Megan or my parents but by me. It was signed on behalf of my company Clara Events LLC. The deposits which they saw as my gift were not gifts of cash from my personal account. They were business expenses, paid from my corporate account, all logged and receipted. They thought I'd just roll over and accept the humiliation. They saw me as the quiet little sister, the pushover they could always count on to absorb their selfishness and come back for more. They assumed everything was locked in, paid for, and ready to go. But they never bothered to read the fine print. They never thought to ask whose name was actually on the paperwork. They didn't know that, legally, the entire event didn't belong to Megan. It belonged to my company, and the contracts all had a standard clause. The final balance for all services was due, in full, exactly 7 days before the event date. If that balance wasn't paid, the contract was void. Before I did anything, I needed to be sure. I called my friend Sarah, a no-nonsense lawyer who had helped me draft my business contracts in the first place. I met her for coffee, laying out the stack of paperwork on the small table between us. I explained everything, the text, the phone calls, the demands for money, the bridal shower. She listened patiently, her expression growing more serious with every word. When I finished, she picked up the venue contract, her eyes scanning the page. She nodded slowly. "You're holding all the cards, Clara," she said, her voice firm. "These vendors have a legal obligation to you, and only you, not to your sister. If the final payment isn't made by the deadline, you are well within your rights to cancel everything. The deposits are refundable to you, minus a small administrative fee. It's all right here in black and white." She looked me in the eyes. "This isn't being petty," she said. "This is business. They treated your professional services like a doormat. You have every right to pull that doormat out from under them." Her validation was the final push I needed. This wasn't about revenge, it was about respect. It was about reclaiming my value. That evening, a new message popped up in the family group chat, the one I was still inexplicably a part of. It was from Megan. "Crisis averted. Found a great DJ last minute. See, everything works out when you don't let negative people get in your way. I read the words, and I didn't feel a sting of hurt. I felt nothing but resolve. They were completely oblivious, moving forward in their little bubble of arrogance, convinced they had won and that I was just sulking at home. They had no idea the ground was about to disappear beneath their feet. I spent the next afternoon doing what I do best, administrative work. With a calm, steady hand, I drafted 4 separate emails, one for each primary vendor. The language was polite, professional, and direct. I attached the relevant sections of their contracts, highlighting the final payment and cancellation clause for their convenience. The body of the email was simple. To whom it may concern, as the client on record for the event scheduled on August 30th, I am writing to inform you that I will not be remitting the final payment as stipulated in our contract. Please consider this email official notice of cancellation as per the terms of our agreement. Please process the refund of my deposit to the business account on file at your earliest convenience. Thank you. Clara Bennett, CEO, Clara Events, LLC. I didn't write it with anger. I wrote it with the cool efficiency of a business owner making a sound decision. Then I scheduled all 4 emails to be sent automatically at 9 o'clock the next morning, exactly 1 week before the wedding. The emails went out at 9 a.m. sharp. For a few hours, there was silence. I imagined the messages arriving in inboxes, being opened by account managers. I imagined the polite phone calls being made. Then, at around noon, the chaos began. The first call Megan got was from the venue manager, a man named Mr. Harrison, whom I had spent weeks negotiating with. "Hi, Megan," he said, his tone professionally regretful. "I'm calling to confirm that we received a cancellation notice from Clara Events for your booking next Saturday. We're very sorry, but the date is no longer being held for you." Megan laughed, thinking it was a mistake. "That's ridiculous," she said. "My sister is just being dramatic. The wedding is on." "I'm afraid the contract is with her company," he replied politely, "and the final payment was not received. We have to release the date, it's our policy." She hung up on him, confused and angry. But then the caterer called with the same message, then the florist, then the linen rental company. The foundation of her perfect day was crumbling, one phone call at a time. My phone finally rang. The screen flashed with Megan's name. I took a sip of my tea, let it ring one more time, and then answered, putting it on speaker. "What did you do?" she screamed, her voice a shrill, panicked weapon. "The venue canceled. The caterer canceled. They all canceled." I could hear my mother yelling in the background. "Clara, you have to fix this. This is a nightmare. How could you do this to your own sister?" My voice, in contrast, was perfectly calm. "I didn't do anything," I said, looking out my window at the clear blue sky. "You told me there was no place for me at the wedding, so I removed myself and my business from it." "You ruined my wedding to get back at me," Megan shrieked, her voice cracking with tears of rage, not sadness. "No, Megan," I replied, my voice steady and strong. "You tried to humiliate me after I gave you my time, my expertise, and my money for free. You don't get to treat me like trash and still benefit from my work. Those contracts were in my name. The deposits were from my company account." My father got on the phone then, his voice booming with fury. "You will call them back and you will fix this right now, young lady. This is your family." "I can't," I said simply. "It's already done. The cancellation is processed. By the way," I added, delivering the final blow, "the deposits, which totaled over $10,000, have already been refunded to my business account. I've forwarded you all the email confirmations." There was a dead, stunned silence on the other end of the line. The yelling stopped. The screaming stopped. In that moment, they finally understood. It wasn't just my help they had lost. It was the venue, the food, the flowers, the money. The entire foundation of the event was gone, and they only had themselves to blame. I hung up the phone and turned it off. I didn't feel angry anymore. I didn't feel hurt. I felt light. I finished packing my suitcase, zipping it shut with a satisfying finality. The next morning, while they were scrambling through a nightmare of their own making, trying to salvage a disaster, I was sitting in an airport lounge. I watched the planes take off and land, sipping a hot cup of coffee, the boarding pass for my flight to Hawaii resting on the table. For the first time in my life, their chaos wasn't my problem to solve. Their panic wasn't my burden to carry. They had wanted a perfect wedding without me in it, and now they had no wedding at all. It was there, in the quiet hum of the airport, that I finally understood that my value wasn't determined by their approval, or my spot on a guest list. It was something I built myself. They lost me that day, completely and forever, and I never once looked back. We all have moments where we have to choose ourselves over the people who refuse to see our worth. Standing up for yourself is never easy, but it's always necessary. Your story deserves to be heard. If you've ever had to make a tough choice to protect your own peace, share your story with our community in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe for more.